Hello, we're going to do lesson 24 this week. Because this isn't a Greek or Latin root, these are just language arts terms that you might see. We are just going to have our quiz this Friday over these 8 words. And these are just terms that you might hear day to day in your life. For example, bandwagon, that might be one that you have heard before. So we're going to look at the vocab pages and then we're going to define the 8 words. And then I will show you what your activity is. Okay, so it says Gina and Tony both want your endorsement, your approval, or support as they run for student council president. Gina says, vote for me because I'm the best. Gina's statement is explicit or clear. Tony says, everyone is voting for me, don't be left behind. Tony's message is implicit or indirect. He wants you to jump on the bandwagon, do something because other people are doing it. Let's keep going. It's a fallacy, a mistaken reasoning to say that most people do something because their friends are doing it. In fact, it's easy to offer a contradiction or disagreement. Most people think for themselves and do what's right for them. Other fallacies have Latin names. Post hoc means after this. In a post hoc fallacy, a person believes that when one event happens after another, the first caused the second. For example, if good things happened to Tony whenever he wore red socks, he might wear red socks on election day, thinking the socks would cause him to win. Another fallacy, a non sequitur, means does not follow. An example of a non sequitur is if Gina said, if you don't vote for me, you don't like cats. The second part of her statement does not follow the first. Good luck, Gina and Tony. May the best candidate win. All right, so let's go ahead and define those words. So bandwagon is the first one, and if you are jumping on the bandwagon is usually the term that you use there. It is joining what appears to be a successful group or movement. You typically see the phrase jump on the bandwagon and join everybody, like you're doing what everybody else is doing. The next one is contradiction. And the word contradiction is just going against what somebody said. Speaking against or denial of what someone has said. So like if you say if it's raining outside and then you look outside and you say it's beautiful, it's contradicting. Rain is not necessarily always a beautiful day. All right, the next one is endorsement. You might have seen sports athletes and things on boxes of Wheaties. They are endorsing that, or certain athletes endorse certain Nike shoes or things like that. So an endorsement is basically just support or approval for a person or a cause. So just somebody giving their endorsement for somebody else. The next one is the word explicit. And if something is explicit, it is just straightforward and said. It is clearly expressed or stated. So if somebody looks at you and says, what you did wasn't right, they came right out and said it. Now, an implicit, we're going to kind of skip over fallacy here really quick. Implicit is when something is not directly stated. You kind of have to make an inference. You suggest where you're like, well, it could have been a better choice. So implicit is just kind of not straight out. So meant and suggested, not clearly stated. So explicit, this is exactly true. This is what it is. Implicit is when you make an inference and you have to make a guess because people aren't going to be straightforward. Okay, a lot of times we have to use implicit clues while we're reading. Okay, the last 3, we have fallacy, non sequitur, and post hoc. Non sequitur and post hoc are types of fallacies. Okay, so a fallacy is a false idea. Or a mistaken belief. Okay, so you believe something and it doesn't make sense. For example, yesterday for the Packers game, my mom told me that she had worn the same hoodie the past 3 playoff games. The hoodie is not going to make the Packers play better. All right, so we have non sequitur, and that one means does not follow. Okay, so saying that, um, saying something along the lines of, it just doesn't make sense. It does not follow. So I guess, so the example that they give to us in the book, if I can find it, if you don't vote for me, you don't like cats. It just doesn't make sense. If you don't like living in Ohio, you don't like the sunshine. That just doesn't make sense. Okay. It just doesn't follow, it doesn't relate to the earlier statements. Okay. It doesn't relate to the earlier statements. And then post hoc is the one that it's after this. So this would be the example of like my mom and her Packer sweatshirt. So this is after this. So the first, having a belief that the first action causes the second action. Like, you eat a bowl of Lucky Charms and they bring you luck, and then you're going to be successful on the football field. No. So it just, things don't follow, or it does not happen after you do something. I'm going to, rub my lucky rabbit's foot. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get an A on the test. These two are kind of confusing. Non sequitur does not follow, so they do not relate to each other. Post hoc means after this, the first action is going to cause the second action. Okay. What I would say is when you're doing your vocab assignment, take a look, Google some non sequitur, some post hoc examples, and you could even include that. So when you look at your vocab 24 activities, it's what you're very typically used to doing, where you have your chart with your 8 words, and then your picture, your definition, and then use it in a sentence. Especially when you use post hoc and non sequitur, you can go Google, find an example, and use that in your sentence. So here they are down here. It says use the word in a sentence to show context. So you could say a post hoc fallacy is when somebody da 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 da. Okay. And then when you have a picture to represent the word, if it doesn't quite match, have it match up with your sentence, and that should help you a little bit, because sometimes these are a little tricky to find pictures for. All right. Feel free to email if you have any questions. Thanks.